So it's awesome having my own rail and my concrete pad here. One of the challenges I think I've encountered, and I mean I knew it was going to be an issue, but when you're skating those razors with the anti-rocker, I'm actually going to see if I can show you guys this, because I can absolutely feel it. When I come through this transition, you can actually feel, you know, that wheel touch down right there. Hello everyone, welcome YouTube to another MTR Fab video. This is MTR, and today we're going to do some concrete repair. Now, recently I've decided that I needed to increase my level of physical fitness, so I picked up an old hobby, which was inline skating. Now, I have a pad here outside of my house with nothing on it, which is a great skate surface. I can roll over the cracks, but there's some transitions here. Can't really tell, but I mean there's probably a 1/4 inch from this side to that side. So when you're rolling up on a rail and trying to, you know, utilize this, check these out in my other video. Again, I've been doing some skate stuff, so I fabbed up some rails, and now I have this surface that I'm trying to, you know, not fix, but minimize these transitions and the cracks. And how I'm going to do that is using hydraulic cement. So I've taken this shop vac and a trowel that I'm going to use to apply the material, and I'm plucking it out of the cracks. I'm blowing it out, sucking it out, just keep poking at it until there's pretty much nothing there, and it's just a crack. Let's see. Sorry about shadows, but you can see how deep this is. I'll show you how the skate, obviously, it can roll over it, but there's a split second where the midsection catches, right? So I need to get rid of this, and by that I'm going to skim the surface. The other thing that's going on is there are some spots. It's almost like a wheel chalk. You can see how the wheel settles into position and gets stuck. So I'm going to try to minimize that too. A lot of this work, I've done some hydraulic repairs in the past with hydraulic cement. Nothing as big as this. So I'm going to continue to clean these out, and you know, I've got a wood pile here. I am not going to move the wood pile. I know these cracks are going to come back. So honestly, this is a band-aid solution to get it so I can skate on it. I can roll over this today, but probably not tomorrow, so it's just worth plucking that right out of the way. And I'm done with anything that's here. And I'll go from there right now too. You're only as good as what you're stuck to. And like I said, this is kind of a temporary intention. What I really should do is cut this section out. I think the proper repair would be to actually do a concrete saw cut across, remove this material, and then pour, you know, new material in there. But we're not going to do that because that's expensive. We're just going to fix the cracks. Spot like this, it's already cracked all the way through, and I mean it's not loose, but I'm going to use a cold chisel and a hammer and some safety glasses, and I'm going to get that out of there. This is what it looks like at this point. I pretty much wire brushed a couple inches on either side of all the cracking I could find. Any of this smaller cracking I'm going to fill with Sikaflex urethane, and I'm going to fill in the big spots, pour them till they're flush. Most of these spots are still level, it's just cracked. There's only this one spot where there's a transition, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do with that as I go. But I'm not really looking to build anything up on the surface. I'm just looking to fill in the low spot with one uniform chunk. I know it's not a forever solution. I know I could drill Tapcons and maybe make it a little, you know, more rugged of a repair. But the reality is, I just want to use it and see how long this kind of repair work lasts, and I'll do various things along the way, and we'll see when I skate on it, you know, what actually happens when you're jumping up and down on it. So this is the product I'm going to use, is this Dry Lock Fast Plug. It's a hydraulic cement. It's fast setting. It dries in 3 to 5 minutes. Well, I think it you know, stiffens up 3 to 5 minutes. And I've got a professional strength concrete bonder. This is an adhesion promoter. And I'm only going to really put this down in the crack a little bit and in the big areas that I'm going to try to flatten out. And I didn't, obviously this was a gross underestimation of product volume that I'll need for the job. But I am going to mix this in small batches in likely this small white pail. I vacuumed the hole out. I've got some old paint brushes that were kind of poorly washed out that I saved for an occasion like this. I'm going to brush the adhesion promoter on after rinsing the crack out with some water. You make sure there's no standing water in the cracks while you're doing your repairs. And you're going to mix small batches of this stuff, a little bit at a time. Oh, hi bud. I got this chipmunk. Check him out. Hi. He came right up to me while I was videoing here. He's very curious. What's up, bud? What are you doing? Yeah, so without any further distraction, I'm going to move on. So this product has a mix ratio of 3 to 1, and there's a cup in the pail here. And so I'm going to start by mixing one batch at a time just to see what it's like. But first, before I mix any of this, now that I'm thinking about it, I want to pick a spot, and I'm going to pick a spot that's actually pretty level to start with, and I'm just going to fill this area in. Again, these smaller cracks, whatever doesn't just level out, I'm going to hit with a Sikaflex product we'll show you in a few minutes. I want to start this by saying I am not a pro at this. If you have a better way or a better solution, that's keep in mind I'm trying to make a quick, cost-effective repair. For a temporary solution, I think I'm going to be doing all right with this, but you know, let me know in the comments if you have any other ways that you would have chose to do this. You don't want standing water like this. I'm going to use a sponge, and I'm going to wring most of it out. You know, you probably should use like a sheetrock sponge, is typically what I've seen other people use. Maybe not a sponge with Dawn dish detergent on it. So let's start with that. I'm going to rinse my brush first, apparently. Alright, now the hole's pretty much just damp. I really don't want standing water in it. Gotta just let that dry up a little bit, perk in, and then I'm going to drop some adhesion promoter. And this product says that you can use it straight, and I'm not really concerned, obviously, how gritty it is. So I'm going to pour some of this in here, and then I'm just going to brush it on the surface as I go. This adhesion promoter says that you use it undiluted. Refer to your product. I do recommend using some sort of promoter on horizontal type cracks. Not necessarily the vertical crack, because it's going to get stuck in there, but where you thin this repair out on the edge, you're going to want it to stick good. Or at least I'm going to want it to stick good. You can do whatever, but I'm showing you guys what I've got available to me, and you may have different stuff, but use what you need to, and then just read the directions for that product. Because this product is a one-to-one, just use it out of the packaged product, I just spread it in the hole and moved it around. It looks kind of like Elmer's glue, and at the same time, while I'm brushing it on, it allows you to get some of the water to move up and out of the low spots, because again, you don't want standing water in there. I mean, I guess you can with hydraulic cement, but we want to get a good bond, as much of it as we can, and from what I understand, that's what the directions tell me to do. So I'm going to refer to that package and say they know better than I. So that's about it. Now it says you want to kind of wait till it turns transparent. I guess this will essentially dry up clear. So as this is drying, I keep raking out the crack, spreading that water out, getting the promoter everywhere and more than one time so I get the best coverage I can. I'm going to spread over this whole entire chunk and kind of pour in there and see where it goes. This is reasonably level here. I know it looks kind of high here, but I'm going to see what the product does. The first mix, I haven't mixed this hydraulic cement or this product ever, but hydraulic cement in a long time, so I don't really remember what consistency it's going to come out at the mix recommended, and we'll start there, and if we want to change it and add a little more dry or something to give it more slump, we will. So excuse the helicopter, but 3 to 1. It says using included scoop, add 1 scoop of cold water to 3 scoops of dry lock. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm actually going to do 6 the first time because I know I'm going to use it right up. So I'm going to add 2 scoops of cold water to 6 scoops of this. So I've got an empty bucket, about the same size. We're going to do 6 scoops of this. 1. Now, you don't want to breathe this stuff. So you see how I'm just kind of putting it down in the bottom of the bucket? That's 2. 3. 4. 5. And 6. Now, we're going to do this. We got to be quick, so I'm not going to mix it on camera. But I'm going to use the same trowel you saw earlier that I was picking the hole out with. And we'll see how well this mixes in here. It's kind of big for this, but if I have to get in there, I did put on gloves by hand, and I may just make a kneadable plug that I throw in the hole. We'll see what the consistency is. So I'm going to put 2 scoops of water in these 6 scoops of dry. See if I can do this with a hose. It's like the gin and juice intro. Alright, so there's my 2 cups. 6 cups did not give me much, and it's already hard to the touch, so I'm going to quickly get another batch mixed up, get that on top before this stuff starts to really set up. But it's pretty much dry. You know, you could, we're going to pour right on top of it again. Before it gets dark, here is what we got done with a 10-pound bucket. Now obviously it's still wet. When I say wet, I mean it's wet, but it's not wet. So I'm going to let that dry out for the night. I'm going to go to the hardware store tomorrow and get another couple 10-pound buckets, I think. I didn't even get to, you know, the bigger spots. So anyway, I you know, put some bonding agent on there that's going to end up drying. That it's kind of a waste because I should put it on and have it look just about like that, by the way, before you apply your patch. It says it doesn't, you know, you don't want it to be fully dry, but tacky. So I'm pretty happy with that. I know I ended up filling a lot of the smaller cracks that I said I wasn't going to, but that material thinned out pretty well and flowed into spots I did not think it was going to. Alright, day 2, this is what it looks like in the morning. Dried out pretty good. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It almost sounds like Rice Krispies. And that's why it's important to wet this stuff down. Is you don't want the concrete that's here drawing the moisture out of your repair before it gets a chance to dry. So you want to make sure it's been wet down, not standing water, but just wet down. This is the lowest skate I have in question. I was going to do something about this transition, but because I know this is going to crack, I don't really want to add something to this lip because it may come back up at some point if it's not inhibiting me now. So as you can see, the skate freely rolls over that joint, even though it's pretty far off, but I'm okay with that. So why I'm showing you this is the next step is I think I'm done with all the major patchwork. I may do a little bit of work in spots like that, just fill in something, And then I'm going to connect the dots using this Secasil product. This is a silicone sealant. It's non-sag, one component. It is entirely out of date. This was probably, I don't know, probably a $45 tube of this stuff. I had a friend that worked for a construction company, and it was out of date when I got it a long time ago, and we're going to see if it's still good. I think it will be. It feels soft. But perfect for this application where all the building supplies that are out of date go. I've got out of date epoxies from my work, and I got all kinds of stuff that I'll take, because we all know that this is probably fine, but we'll figure that out here sure enough. Of course, I'm almost finished here when it starts raining, but you know, really doesn't matter that it's raining. It's hydraulic cement. It's going to dry in the rain. It's just more of an inconvenience. But you can see, filled in all the big spots. Anywhere there was really a significant amount of material missing. But I'm going to go inside because it's getting kind of windy. Wait. So I've got a little piece of 3D printed plastic scrap. Again, you know, I don't even need nothing special. I'm just going to use this to press the joint flat. In your application, you may want to leave a proud bead. In my application, I'm not. Alright, there's my new skate surface. Now, there was more work to do. One, that expired tube of goodies was dry about 3 inches from the back, so I didn't quite get to, you know, be able to use the whole tube, but what you see took all of 3/4 of that tube. And there's a couple small cracks I'd like to still get, and then, you know, a few that I had to fill a little more shallow than I'd like. But again, it's just there to seal it up, keep the water out, and maybe make it last a little bit longer. But now I have this entire run where I can pop that rail down in the middle here and break myself to pieces. Alright, so, you know, like I said, guys, on this channel you'll see a little bit of everything. You never know. So please check back regularly for new content. This week it happened to be a concrete repair. This gives you an idea of my thought process in repairing this, as it's temporary. Probably every year I'll have to come back out here and do a little something to this to keep it, you know, usable. I've got to wait 24 hours for this stuff to really cure up, and I'm going to roll on it. I'll let you guys know. If you like what you see, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week on the MTR Fab channel. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm out. So I do want to say that the gun was minimal use, especially on smaller cracks. This little piece of plastic was handy for actually pushing the material down into the crack. Otherwise, it essentially sits on top. So, and then I smeared it out with my finger to keep it nice and below level at least. That way, it's not going to catch me